What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Dricus Plessis sends a message to Khamzat Chimaev. Heading into the UFC's first pay-per-view card of the year, Khamzat Chimaev has made it clear that he believes he is next in line back at the title after Strickland and Dricus Plessis fight at UFC 297. Despite that, reports have indicated that Israel Adesanya will be in attendance at the event, leading many fans to theorize that Khamzat Chimaev likely won't be next in line for a crack at the title. During a recent interview with MMA Junkie, heading into the fight week, Plessis spoke about the potential bout, shutting down Chimaev's case for a crack at the belt.
I don't know. As far as I know, Khamzat's a welterweight. What middleweight did he fight? He fought at middleweight, but he fought a welterweight. Yeah, I mean, Gerald Meerschaert, when was that? Where was he ranked? I don't even know.
I don't think he was at the time.
No, he wasn't ranked. So, in my opinion, that makes absolutely no sense. The UFC promised him a title fight. Where in the world does that happen?
As Plessis went on to explain, should he defeat Strickland, he believes that a fight between he and the last stylebender makes more sense. If that winds up being the case, then the most likely scenario would be that Chimaev ends up fighting the loser of the Strickland-Plessis fight in a title eliminator. Next up, let's take a look at Michael Chandler wants to end Conor McGregor's career. When Michael Chandler and Conor McGregor collide, not only does the former Bellator MMA champ plan on stopping the Irish star, he plans on doing so in dominant fashion, sending the former champ into retirement with a brutal finish. He spoke in a recent video for his YouTube channel, firing off a scathing shot at McGregor.
It's going to be a big card, it's going to be fun, and I finished Conor within the first 2 rounds, and after that, probably pretty much end his career. And that's what there's just so much more than people think about on the surface level. I want battlegrounds of epic proportions. I want to stand in the cage with that man. I want to break that man's will. I want to break his jaw. I want to separate him from consciousness, completely flatline him inside the octagon, and then we say farewell to one of the sport's biggest star, and then we can go about our merry way.
The way Chael Sonnen sees things, McGregor not only has to campaign for a 3-round fight, he also only has one path to victory. He spoke in a video for his YouTube channel where he shared his prediction for the fight.
Conor has one way to beat Michael Chandler, of which he's really good, which is knocking him out in the first round. If it sees the 3rd round, we don't even have a conversation. For sure, Chandler wins. Chandler could lose all 10 minutes to get to the 3rd round. If the 3rd round begins, Chandler wins the fight.
As Chandler notably indicated in his video, the UFC has yet to finalize things for the June 29th fight. However, given how eager both fighters are to compete, it's clear that the ball is in the UFC's court, and it's likely just a matter of time before a deal is reached. Next up, let's take a look at Justin Gaethje has an advantage in Islam Makhachev fight. Although Dana White has indicated that the upcoming UFC 300 bout between Charles Oliveira and Arman Tsarukyan is a title eliminator, lightweight champion Islam Makhachev has made it clear that his plan is to defeat Justin Gaethje over the summer, before then shifting his focus to the winner of the Oliveira-Tsarukyan fight before the end of the year. While it's unclear whether the UFC will grant the champion his wish and grant him a fight against Gaethje first, Beneil Dariush believes that if the fight were to be made, the highlight holds a unique advantage over the champion. He spoke in an interview with Helen Yee.
Everyone always thinks of Khabib, right? Well, Khabib fought Justin Gaethje and he just went after him really quickly and kind of rushed and finished the fight. Makhachev is not a guy who rushes. He's a patient guy, he's a technical guy, and in my opinion, that actually works in Justin Gaethje's favor. Because even, let's say, Justin loses 3 rounds, he needs only 1 punch. So if he can find that one hit, he can make it changes the fight.
As Dariush went on to explain, Gaethje needs to fight against Makhachev in a similar way to how he fought Dustin Poirier, where he remained composed in moments where he had previously would have opened up and deviated from the game plan. With Gaethje seemingly rounding a corner and Makhachev looking as dominant as ever, the fight would likely divide the MMA community in regard to predictions. Now, let's shift gears and take a look at UFC fight updates. As we prepare to jump full swing into the UFC's 2024 schedule on Saturday, let's take a look at some UFC fight updates for the months ahead, starting with a welterweight fight between Randy Brown and Muslim Salikov, which has been added to the UFC Vegas 85 card, which is headlined by Roman Dolidze and Nasruddin Imavov on February 3rd. The bout will see Brown look to build momentum on a June victory over Wellington Turman, while Salikov will be looking to bounce back from a June loss to Nicholas Dalby. The following month, when the UFC hits Atlantic City on March 30th, Julio Arce and Herbert Burns will meet in the bantamweight showdown that will see Arce look to make his successful return to the octagon after a year-long layoff. While on the flip side, Burns will be looking to return from a year-and-a-half-long hiatus of his own after his loss to Bill Algeo back in July of 2022. The following week at UFC Vegas 89 on April 6th, which will be headlined by a middleweight bout between Marvin Vettori and Brendan Allen, featherweights Alexander Hernandez and Damon Jackson will meet in a fight that's sure to produce fireworks. Hernandez will be looking to bounce back from a loss back in October to Bill Algeo, while on the flip side, Jackson will be looking to snap a 2-fight skid of his own that saw him go winless in 2023. Last but certainly not least, we have a UFC 300 fight announcement, with reports indicating that Davison Figueiredo and Cody Garbrandt will compete on the historic April 13th card. Figueiredo will be looking to build momentum on a recent win over Rob Font, while Garbrandt will be looking to build on a 2-fight win streak that most recently saw him finish Brian Kelleher. With Dana White on a hot streak of fight announcements, it sounds as though it's only a matter of time before more fights are added to UFC 300. Next, let's take a look at Joe Rogan reacts to Sean Strickland's next fight. Joe Rogan, like many members of the MMA community, was floored by Sean Strickland's performance against Israel Adesanya last year. In addition to Rogan being impressed by Strickland's knockdown of Adesanya in the first round, he was blown away by the outspoken and oftentimes controversial middleweight's cardio. During a recent episode of the Joe Rogan Experience with welterweight Sean Brady, however, Joe Rogan spoke about the upcoming fight between Strickland and Dricus du Plessis, pointing out that du Plessis' awkward style could give the champ problems.
Dricus is scary. That's a guy who's so big for 85. But it's like Dricus looks awkward when he fight. He moves different, but that movement and that awkwardness makes him difficult to time. It's like his timing is off. And if you don't have anybody that can imitate that kind of stutter step motion that he does,
he fights weird.
It's deceptively technical. Though.
As Rogan went on to point out, Strickland uses the UFC's custom mouthguard, which measures how many punches a fighter takes while training. And despite how often he spars, he gets hit the least. The way Dricus du Plessis sees things, however, his fight with Strickland won't go the distance. He shared his prediction for the fight in a previously mentioned MMA Junkie interview, explaining that he's more than ready to go 5 rounds if need be. However, he doesn't think that will be the case.
If that's the case, which it won't be, I won't allow it, then I'll be there in the 5th round making sure I win this fight by decision and convincingly, because that's what it takes to become the world champion. But in my honest opinion, and this fight's not going the distance, there's no way. He's a guy that walks forward, I'm a guy that likes to go forward.
Currently, Strickland is sitting as a slight negative 135 favorite to du Plessis' status as a plus 114 underdog on DraftKings, indicating just how split the MMA community is on this fight. Next, let's take a look at Nate Diaz calls out for UFC 300 fight. Although fans have theorized that Nate Diaz could wind up fighting Dustin Poirier on the UFC 300 card, the Diamond indicated that's not the case at all. Since then, reports have indicated that Diaz and fellow UFC veteran Jorge Masvidal will likely compete in a boxing match. However, the Stockton superstar threw fans a curveball this week when he called for a fight at UFC 300. Writing in a social media post, "I was supposed to headline UFC 200. Headline UFC 300 would be better." While there was talk and speculation of Diaz and McGregor potentially competing in a trilogy bout at UFC 300, the Irish star's recent announcement of a June fight with Michael Chandler closed the door on those rumors. The way Beneil Dariush sees things, Diaz and Jorge Masvidal could wind up running back their BMF title fight rather than competing in boxing, as recent reports have suggested. He spoke in a previously mentioned interview with Helen Yee, indicating that Masvidal's contract could be the X factor in determining where the pair compete.
It would depend on his contract, because he retired, but that doesn't mean your contract is he's released from the contract, right? Unless he has some kind of special contract that lets him out anytime he wants, which I doubt. And if he is to fight, Nate Diaz, he's a great boxer. I don't think people understand how good Masvidal is when he's on point.
With Diaz eager to compete at UFC 300, it's safe to say the addition of the Stockton superstar would be a welcome sight for fans. Although a fight with Masvidal hasn't been in the works, it might actually wind up being the perfect fit for the card. Next, let's take a look at Chris Weidman reveals sad news. After returning from one of the most gruesome injuries the sport has seen last year when he faced Brad Tavares, former middleweight champion Chris Weidman believes that his upcoming fight with Bruno Silva on March 30th could potentially be his last. Speaking in a recent video for Hall of Famer Daniel Cormier's YouTube channel, Weidman explained that despite mentally being in a good place, his body has been put through the ringer.
Mentally and like motivational wise, and technique wise, I still think I'm, you know, top in the world. But my body's just taking a beating, and this could be my last fight. But I'm gonna kind of make that decision throughout the training camp, seeing how I feel, if my body could handle a hard training camp again, and it might be the last one, it might not be.
As Weidman explained, he accepted the fight against Bruno Silva in Atlantic City largely due to the fact that his career began in Atlantic City, with things now coming full circle. Weidman's admission that his body has simply taken a beating has left many wondering about Conor McGregor's future ahead of his return to the octagon. As we've seen in the past with both Weidman and Anderson Silva, fighters returning from broken legs have struggled to reach the same level in which they have once competed. The MMA community roasts Dana White after a video leaked of him partying before he announced the Zhang Weili vs. Yang Xiaonan fight at UFC 300.
Don't believe me, just watch! Don't believe me, just watch! Don't believe me, just watch! Stop! Wait a minute. Stop the check.
Here's what the MMA community had to say to Dana. Dana White partying after the pay-per-view price hike. Seems too energetic for alcohol. Looks more like cocaine. The way he says sign the check gets me every time. Coke is one hell of a drug. Probably riding Steve Will Do It's jock in some casino. Bro is 50. At least he can become a singer when he retires from the UFC. Alex Pereira teases his new fight announcement. He posted on Instagram a video of him putting on gloves with the caption saying, "News of my next fight coming soon." Who do you think Alex will fight next? Let us know in the comments below. Top comments. I won't believe Conor will actually fight until he literally steps into the octagon. This dude Michael Chandler really sacrificed over 1.5 years of his fighting career waiting on a fight with Conor that may not even happen, lol. And seeing the dude cling so hard, going with whatever Conor says and saying silly things like, "I want you at your biggest and baddest," is honestly both funny and just sad at this point. Wow, I feel so sorry for Adesanya. How could he have known the consequences of his own actions? We should take it easy on him because driving drunk isn't a well-known illegal activity. In fact, I don't think I ever seen a commercial about DUIs. Wait, Adesanya was left off because of the potential negative consequence of the punishment that he would endure? His actions could have potentially ended an innocent person's life. So that doesn't matter anymore? WTF. Man, different rules for rich people. Make sure to leave a comment and you might get featured in our next video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss any MMA news. Check out our video from yesterday if you missed it. See you tomorrow.